My parents spent my college money on my sister, then hijacked my graduation dinner like it was hers. My sister was born when I was 8, came early, and almost didn't make it in the NICU. After that, she became the miracle baby, and I became the kid people looked through. By my 10th birthday, she had her own gift pile at my party. By 12, my birthday was wherever she wanted. At 13, my friends watched her get her face painted while I sat there quiet, so I stopped inviting anyone. When I was 14, I saved $340 mowing lawns for a used gaming PC, and my mom took the cash for my sister's dance lessons. She said they'd pay me back, but they never did. When I asked about it, my dad called me selfish and said, "Family helps family." At 16, my sister decided she wanted my bigger bedroom. I came home, and my stuff was already shoved into the smaller room. My posters were gone because they didn't match her aesthetic, and my parents told me I was overreacting, so I learned to disappear. I packed my own things and kept my mouth shut. I got a part-time job at a grocery store, opened a bank account they didn't know about, and started stacking an escape fund, one shift at a time. Senior year, I still finished as valedictorian. I got into my dream college, but I was short about $8,000. My parents had always said, "We'll help with college," so I finally asked. My mom laughed and said they didn't have it. Then she told me they'd spent my college fund years ago on my sister's travel volleyball. Club fees, tournaments, hotels, gear, all of it. I didn't yell, I just nodded and filled out scholarship forms until my eyes hurt. At Christmas, my grandma pulled me aside and asked why I seemed so distant. I almost told her everything, but I swallowed it because I figured it would just start a fight I'd have to live with. Then graduation came, and my parents planned a big dinner at an Italian place. Aunts, uncles, cousins, both grandparents, even people flying in. And for once I thought, maybe topping my class finally means something to them. We walked in, and I saw the reservation was under my sister's name. My stomach tightened, but I told myself it didn't matter. We sat down, and my uncle asked, "So what's the plan for college?" I opened my mouth. My mom cut in fast, saying money was tight and things were stressful. My grandma frowned, but she stayed quiet. Dinner kept going, but I could feel my parents watching my sister more than me, like they were waiting for a cue. My sister kept tapping her foot under the table, smiling. Then dessert came out, and my dad stood up and started knocking his glass. My mom stood next to him with a smile. She said this wasn't just my graduation dinner, it was a double celebration. Then she announced my 17-year-old sister was 8 weeks pregnant. She said my sister and her boyfriend were keeping the baby. My parents said they were thrilled to become grandparents. The whole table went dead quiet. My grandpa's fork froze in the air. Someone whispered, "Are you serious?" And my sister kept staring at her lap. I just sat there, staring at the dessert, thinking they really couldn't let me have one night. My grandma pushed her chair back, slow and steady. She's 74, and I'd never heard her raise her voice, but when she spoke, the air changed. She said she flew 1,400 miles to celebrate her grandson's graduation. She didn't fly 1,400 miles to watch my parents hand another moment to the daughter who already gets everything. She said she'd watched them neglect me for a decade and stayed quiet, hoping they'd wake up on their own. But hijacking my graduation dinner to announce a teen pregnancy was the last straw. My mom started to cry and tried to say my sister needed extra support because she was fragile from birth. My grandma cut her off and said he was fragile too, and you refused to see it. Then my grandpa stood up, then my uncle, then my aunt. One by one, they listed things they'd noticed. Birthdays that weren't mine. Me always pushed to the edge of photos. The college fund that vanished. My cousin said she'd seen my sister brag online about $2,000 volleyball gear, while I kept showing up to family events in the same 3 shirts. My sister burst into tears and said everyone was ruining her special moment. Nobody even looked at her. My grandma turned to me and asked, "Do you want to come stay with me before college?" She said she'd cover the $8,000 I needed, like it was the simplest thing in the world. My throat locked up. I couldn't get words out, so I just nodded, and tears ran down my face. My grandma took my hand and said, "Then we're done here." She stood, and the family who'd been speaking up stood with her. We left our napkins on the table and walked out together, past people staring and out into the night air. In the parking lot, my grandma squeezed my hand and said, "You're coming."